real stages from addiction to recovery. And the reason why this is so important is because it really helps you to appropriately manage your expectations. So whether you are the person in early recovery, move my mic here, or you're the person supporting the person in early recovery, the family member, you really need to understand these stages of change, because without this, you're going to get 10 times more frustrated. You're going to be more likely to give up, and I want you to be successful in your journey. And if you know anything about, if you've been watching me at all, then you know I'm all about the strategy to help someone get clean and sober, or the strategy to help yourself get clean and sober. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Amber Hollingsworth, Master Addiction Counselor and founder of Hope for Families Recovery Center, where we help people and families through the crisis of addiction every day. Excuse me. So my goal for this YouTube channel is to spread recovery faster than addiction is spreading, and I need your help to do that. So if you know anybody who needs to hear about this topic, please share it out. That'll help spread recovery and get people the information that they need to be successful. All right, so let's get started with our topic. So I'm going to break this down for you. There are 5 main stages that clinically professionals talk about. And then there's one stage that's kind of debatable. It's at the end. It's like, is that really a stage or is it not? We'll talk about it and I'll let you guys vote. So first off, I'd like to find out a little bit about who's watching. If you're watching for yourself, let me know that in the chat stream. Or if you're watching for a loved one, let me know that in the chat stream. Because if I know who's watching and what you need to get out of it, I can sort of gear this presentation, this topic, to suit your needs even better. And do feel free to ask questions. If I don't get to them right in the moment where you ask them, I will go back through and I will answer them either at the end or in the comments. So I will answer every single question that I get. So in counselor language, I guess you could say, the very first stage is called pre-contemplation. And that's just basically fancy for denial. So it's what everybody else knows as denial. It means the person has a problem but doesn't recognize that they have a problem. Now, I personally think there should be like subsets of denial, because it's not even like I have a problem or I don't. To me, denial has its own set of stages. So it kind of works like, okay, I have a problem, but it's not really that bad. Just sometimes I overdo it. Or it's like, well, I have a problem, but it's not as bad as those people. Or it's like, well, I have a problem, but, you know, I can stop if I need to. You know, it's like these varying degrees of, do I have a problem or not? And there's a lot in between there. And then you can get all the way down to the bottom of those, and it can be like, okay, yeah, I have a problem. I have the worst problem ever. I have a problem 20 times worse than anybody else, and I can never get sober. So even to me, that's a form of denial. So it's about being honest with yourself about, do you have a problem or not? How severe is that problem? And what's it going to take to deal with that problem? So that's stage number 1, denial. Stage number 2 is contemplation. And that basically means the person is fancy talk, I know, but the person is thinking about, do I have a problem or I don't? So this is where they start to kind of really wade through some of those little micro stages of denial. So it's kind of like, well, maybe. And there'll be times and days, a lot of times after something kind of bad happens, that you'll be thinking like, oh yeah, I got a problem. This is ridiculous. I'm never drinking again. You know how that is. You wake up in the morning and it's like, oh my gosh, I regret that. I'm embarrassed. I'm humiliated. Why did I do that? I feel guilty about it. And you make all those promises to yourself. Contemplation. So it's like, well, maybe I need to do something about it. And then during this stage, a lot of times people are on your case. If you're the family watching, you may not know this person is in contemplation, because people usually start thinking about the fact that they have a problem and thinking about doing something about that problem long before they say it out loud. Because somehow deep inside, if they say it out loud but they might not be ready, then you might hold them accountable for it. So they don't always say it out loud, even if they are contemplating the fact that they have a problem. The next stage of change kind of goes in with that, and it's preparation. So that's when the person actually starts to look into, research, figure out ways to help the situation. So that's when people start Googling and watching YouTube videos and looking into treatment centers and figuring out what their options are, maybe even reading a book or two. Depends on the person's personality type and age, like what steps they're going to take to do this. But this is when you start actively looking for solutions. Maybe you try a meeting or two or something like that. Maybe you go talk to your therapist about that. Those are preparation stages. And then lastly, you have the action stage. And this is where most people, this is really the stage that most people think either you have a problem and you do something about it, or you're not. But it really doesn't work that way. There's a lot of movement in those stages. And even though I'm kind of telling them to you in order, they don't really flow in order. So you can be in denial, contemplation, back in denial, contemplation, preparation, back in denial. And so you have those little moments. I call them moments of clarity, and that's where you're in this active stage where you're ready to do something about it. You're willing, you're open-minded, you're all those terms that people in recovery and counselors and stuff use, and you're ready to take those steps. But if you don't activate some sort of plan, if you don't take some very active steps, do some things differently, put a plan in motion, then chances are you're going to fall back into denial and then have to work your way back through those stages again. So if you're a family member and you're witnessing someone do this, I don't want you to think they didn't mean it. And if you have done this to yourself several times, I don't want you to think you didn't mean it, because I'll have people come and tell me who've tried to be successful or tried to get clean before. They'll come back and tell me like, well, they failed or whatever. They'll come back and say, well, I think I just didn't really want it for myself, or I didn't really mean it, or, I must not be doing it for the right reasons. But that's not really the case. So they sort of diminish or dismiss their past efforts. Just because it didn't work before doesn't mean you didn't mean it. It doesn't mean that your loved one wasn't trying. It's just that this thing is hard. Like, no one gets it on the first time. I don't know anyone that gets it on the first time. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, I know so-and-so and they went to treatment and they never used again. Well, I guarantee you that person did a whole lot of trial and error before they ever went to treatment. So this is the part it comes where you have to get your expectations in line. And I'm not telling you this so that you can give yourself permission to go out there and relapse or whatever. I'm just telling you this so you can get your own expectations in line, so that you're not beating yourself up for the fact that you've tried some things before and it didn't work. And even if you've tried something before and it didn't work, it doesn't even mean that that's not the right thing for you. It's a lot of things involved here. There's timing, there's resources, there's support. It's even more than just, I have a problem and I'm willing. There's the idea of, most of the time, people have a few failures in there because they have no idea whatsoever what it's really going to take to get clean and sober. Like zero. They have no clue at all. And so they take those steps. They think they're doing what they need to do to get clean and sober, and they fail because they don't really understand that it is literally like a complete overhaul. Like, it's like if you're going to redo an old house, like, we got to take it down to the foundation and rebuild it back up. And people don't understand that. So a lot of their early attempts just aren't successful, not because they don't necessarily mean it, not because they're not trying, but because the person and the family usually have no clue what it really takes to get clean and sober. So yes, it's gonna take more than one try. So even in the action stage, you gotta think about it more like a spiral. Like, people sort of tend to go in this direction, but they can go back up that way and back down and back up. And eventually you figure it out and you can get some substantial recovery, sobriety under your belt. And then you move into the last official stage that's called maintenance. And just because you're clean and sober for 3 months, 6 months, a year, it really doesn't mean that you can let your guard down. We don't really think of addiction in terms of cured. What is it they say with cancer? It's in remission, you can say. It's like, it's this awareness that it's better, you're in recovery, you're recovered, whatever language you want to use, but you have to have this mindfulness of the fact that it can come back. And that's not to hold you hostage and to keep you like from living your life. It's to keep you understanding what you need to do to keep yourself in the maintenance stage, because it is a stage. It's like if you went on diet and lost a bunch of weight, there's a maintenance stage. You can't just let it go, because if you do, you go back to the old habits, it's coming back. So you have to work that maintenance stage. And then lastly, this is the one I said like may or may not be a stage. Some people call it a stage. Some people say that's not a stage, but it's relapse. So do you think relapse is a stage? You tell me, put it in the comments, like tell me in the chat, is that a stage or it's not a stage? But relapse can come in there. And like I said before, just because someone relapses does not mean that they didn't mean it. I'm telling you, it doesn't mean bad things. It's a trial and error learning process. I'm not giving you permission to relapse, because you don't want to let that happen if you can help it, because it sucks. Like digging back out of a relapse is hard. Think about what it took or takes to get sober to begin with. Like, you don't want to do that again. I've heard people say in recovery, they can say, yeah, I have another drunk in me, but I don't have another get sober in me, because that is way too hard. It is a deep, deep hole to dig out of. So don't be listening to this and thinking, oh, Amber says relapse is all part of it. I'm saying if it happens, be prepared, have a relapse prevention plan, and know what you're going to do. And if you want to know more about that, you should totally check out, I have several videos on relapse prevention, a couple that came out just a few weeks back. One of them's called the 3 irrational thinking patterns that lead to relapse, and the other one is called the 5 essential skills that you absolutely have to build if you want to stay sober those first 6 months to a year. So those would be great ones to check out. Even if you're a family member watching this, I still think those would be great to check out, because it helps you understand what should really be happening in this recovery process, like what skills a person should be gaining, what to expect. It's really more about helping you manage those expectations. And lastly, I want to let you know that we are still accepting beta testers in the Invisible Intervention Program. So for those of you who don't know what that is, it is an online academy for family members where we have sort of outlined the entire process for you. It has action steps, feedback, and advice for you to deal with every single one of these stages. So it's going to tell you what to do if you're dealing with someone in denial. It's going to tell you what to do if you're dealing with someone in that contemplation or thinking about it stage. It's going to tell you what to do if you're dealing with someone in relapse or in treatment. It really gives you that step-by-step process. And we're looking, and because we're looking, it's new, it's a newer course. It's not a new thing that we've been doing, because we've been doing it in our office like forever, but it's new to be doing it online. So we're looking for beta testers to test that out. And because of that, we're giving it to the beta testers for super duper inexpensive. In exchange for, there's always a catch, right? In exchange for feedback about the course, so that we can continue to tweak it and make changes and make it the most effective that we can make it. And this is our efforts to try to help the most people possible, families, individuals, whoever needs it. If you're interested in that, I've put a link in the description for you. And after this video, I'll put a link in the comments in case you have trouble finding that. But definitely consider being a beta tester for that program. I like to say you can't really make people skip any of these stages, but you can speed the process up. And that's what we're going to teach you in the Invisible Intervention. How do you speed this process up? Because unfortunately, most family members, even though they don't mean to, like they slow this thing down. Like they put the brakes on it sometimes. Like seriously, I know you don't mean to. It's all well-intentioned, but families, I'm telling you, sometimes you get in the way. You didn't cause it. It's not your fault, but sometimes you get in the way. And so this will help you to understand how to support and stand back and put these stages on fast mode. Like, let's just do this. In my office, a counselor called Campbell, and she calls, oh, it's game on time. Like, let's make this happen. Let's get through this stuff so we can get on the other side and get our life back. So check out the invisible intervention. If you haven't already, I'll put that link, and I'll see you guys next time.